It's incredible. I had just finished the book called Thirsting for God, which is about Mother Teresa. And you get to hear her little voice like throughout it with
Mm.
different clips. And you have to really pay attention, which is good for me because I can kind of get on autopilot when I'm listening to books and podcasts
Me
and
too.
stuff. And I had to every single time like turn up the volume and listen to her sweet little voice. And she positioned Jesus in front of everything that she said. Anytime someone would give her kudos or accolades, or like they would even when she tried to get receive the Nobel Peace Prize, she was just like, it's not mine. And she kept handing it back over. And I love that the connection point of your story was when you had this revelation at 33. Part of that story too, connected to Pete that I was sharing with you, is he was 29 years old. And we know that Jesus's ministry started at 30 to 33.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that there's like this season of people's lives between those age brackets where the Lord just like takes a hold of you. And I just love that it was so paralleled to your faith and your faith walk that you now are seeing fruit in a totally different way than you did before.
Oh yeah. It's so beautiful. And it's I'm still in awe of the things that he continues to do. And I think he goes, Dar, I created the universe and the world. Like, you're in awe of these connections.
Oh, it's so good. Well, that's the thing, is like what is little to us is a mustard seed to him. Right.
Yeah.
And our mustard seed is even more than what he could know that we could even possess. And I have this constant perspective when he's like, step out of the boat, take an act of obedience. He's paying attention to us, but he's omnipresent, paying attention to every other billions of people simultaneously. And we forget that. I think why I love being next to the ocean so much is because I'm reminded that how small my life is, and yet how precious it is simultaneous to that. Is there anybody anywhere that you go or thing that you do that keeps you in that space of humility, similar to how Mother Teresa had that space of humility? It's a big question.
Well,
not to compare yourself to Mother Teresa, but to be like Mother Teresa.
I honestly used to call my mother Mother Teresa, my mom, because this woman was a barber who had nothing. Wow. And she would give away her last sandwich. Like, she'd be starving and she'd serve someone. She'd give away her last dollar. So I saw my mom in this generous spirit. So she passed away about 3 years ago, and I hope I carry a little bit of Mother Teresa through my mother, through me, where if people know anything that's happened in my life, no matter where it's going, God is in the forefront. And then I'll get through it with God, and they'll know it, because I believe that, and also that I say this all the time. I hope most people feel this, but we didn't wake up for us. We did not wake up for us. This is not like let's have a gluttonous life. If you're blessed with whatever, that's beautiful. Yeah. But you got up because you're actually on a mission for God. He has you here to use your gifts to serve the world. So when you get up, you're literally not getting up for you. It's not for you to be like, well, let's see what kind of best day I could have. I mean, I hope you have a good day. But if you get up with the service mindset, now the challenges that come along, you're like, oh, well, I'm in service. I'm on mission. Well, of course I'm going to go through this. I mean, hello. So
it's so good.
I look at it that way. So I hope in the Mother Teresa line, it's this line of, we are getting up in service every day to serve people. That gives you purpose. That is your why power. Like, you want purpose? You're serving God's mission. What?
Yeah. That's the part where you're like, are you sure? Me, God, me? But when you feel that prompting and he's opening a door, there's, I think, these pieces of our life and these moments of our life where it's not coincidental, right? And yet people are like, that's such a coincidence. I'm like, if it's a coincidence, you better run, because that's God. You better run into it. Like, that is so cool. And these happen all the time when our eyes are open to them and our spirit is open to it, versus us having this closed off, very selfish mentality towards greed, resources. You mentioned gluttony, right? And I think money can be a huge part of that limiting understanding, because we think resources are only money. And it's like, no, you've got energy, you've got time, you've got joy to give. You've got, like we mentioned, all these fruits that need to be passed out, and they're only going to be received. Like Mother Teresa passed peace. Right? You can't put a dollar sign on peace.
No.
And I
Lord,
think about that, like people, you mentioned at the very beginning of this conversation, the power of community. And
oh
community
yeah.
has to come together and we have to utilize our resources better. And the only way to do that is to have our palms wide open
Yes.
consistently, right? And
Yes.
it's like this communal exchange of what do you have? What do I have? Oh, this is great for this. Let's pass this instead of it being so clenched fist.
Yeah. Clench fist doesn't let anything in or out.
There you
And
go.
you're already in fight mode.
Mm,
So open is peace, open is flow, open is abundance, open is
mm.
goodness, open of heart and spirit. So yes, be open.
I'm curious as you're with all these, because that's a lot of different genres of clientele, which is fun because that means every day is different for you.
Hmm.
You could be in different experiences, different office settings, different leadership
Yeah.
conversations. What do you feel like is like a common through line currently? Because I'm sure it's shifted, especially since 2008, that people are like in need of or wanting
Mm.
desperately, and especially if it's not aligned to faith. What are people wanting as the answer or solution, and why are they coming to you?
I really believe ultimately they feel like they want to make a greater impact, whether that's in their sport, their role, their job,
Hmm.
and they want to make their greatest impact and they're not sure how to do it alone. And these are very smart, very talented people, but they realize it's hard to do that alone
Yeah.
and that we're better together. And so being able to come alongside from world leaders to CEOs to advisors to athletes, they're everyone is a peak performer. So I get optimizers, which is good for me because if
Yeah.
I don't do very good with lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Likewise. I'm very much there. I'm like, get off the couch and then we'll
Yes.
talk.
Yes. So they're usually optimizers and they're people that want to continue to grow and help grow others. So you could see this consistent parallel that there's a thread of purpose, even to the point this athlete that while wants to accomplish great things in his career, over 4 years that we've worked together, he'll now go, "Oh, Dar, can you help so and so?" And he might need help, or he might. And I said, "You know how much I love your leadership because it went from me to we now and understanding." And Kobe Bryant made that shift and made a that helped him in his life. And this player went from me to we. And it's been a game changer because now he's like, well, how do we serve the whole? Because serving the whole, everyone wins.
That's
Serving
right.
self does not.
Come on. That's so
Yeah.
good. What, do you feel like they need perspective? Do you give them like new strategy? How do you actually
Both.
support them from that place? Okay.
It really is both because
Yeah.
oftentimes it's because I work in such a vast group, I get
Yeah.
to bring perspective from many different places that they only get tunnel vision,
Sure,
seeing
sure.
one. And so that helps them. And also, I help them see and reframe things a little bit different, shifting their perspective. We go from sometimes it gets so micro that I have to pull them macro to see things, which
Mhm.
allows them to see the bigger picture and have vision again so they can make the greater impact.